Okay, we're going to talk about the list of agricultural universities in India, and I'll inform you where they are, okay, and what are their names and what year they were established. We have total of 78 agriculture industries, agriculture universities in India, and they are distributed all over the country. In Andhra Pradesh, you have the Acharya Enjiranga Agriculture University. It's in Guntur, Rajendra Nagar in the Hyderabad, and it was established in 12th June 1964. You also have Dr. YSR Horticulture University, uh, Venkataramanagudam, Tattipalli, Kudinmandal, which is in West Godavari district, and it was established in 26th of June 2007. You also have Sri Venkateswara Veterinary University in Tirupati, and it was established on 30th of March 2005. You have Assam Agriculture University in Jorhat, which was established in 1969. You have Bihar Agricultural University, which is in Bhagalpur, and it was established in 2010. And you have Dr. Rajendra Pratad, the Central Agriculture University, Samastipur, and this was previously also known as Rajendra Agricultural University, and it was established in 11th May 2016. Then you have your Indira Gandhi Agriculture University, IGAU, in Raipur, and it was established in 20th of January 1987. In Gujarat, you have five universities, which is Anand Agriculture University in Anand. You have your Junagadh Agricultural University. You have Navsari Agricultural University in Navsari, and you have Sardar Kushinagar Dantewada Agriculture University, which is in Sardar Kushinagar. You also have Kamdhenu University, which is in Gandhinagar. So the first four, the Anand Agricultural University, the Junagadh Agricultural University, Navsari Agricultural University, and Sardar Kushinagar Dantewada Agricultural University, these four were established in 2004, on 1st May 2004, whereas this Kamdhenu University is recent. It was established in 2009. In Haryana, you have your Chaudhry Charan Singh Haryana Agricultural University, which is in Hisar. It was established in 1970, 2nd of February 1970. You also have your Lala Lajpat Rai University of Veterinary and Animal Science, Hisar, which was established in 2010. And you also have your NDRI Karnal, which is the National Dairy Research Institute Karnal, established in 1923. Due to, I'll have to reduce the video. Yeah. In Himachal Pradesh, you have Chaudhry Swaran Kumar Himachal Pradesh Krishi Vishwavidyalaya, which is in Palampur, and it was established in 1978. You have Dr. Yashwant Singh Parmar University of Horticulture and Forestry, which is in Solan, and it was established in 1985. You have this Jammu and Kashmir, Sher-e-Kashmir University of Agricultural Science and Technology of Kashmir, which is in Srinagar, and it was established in 1982. And in Jharkhand, you have Birsa Agricultural University, Kanke Ranchi. It was established in 1981. Then you have your Sainath University, which is Ormanji, which is a private university established in 2012. Then you have your Jharkhand Rai University in Ranchi, which is another private university established in 2011. Then you have your in Karnataka, you have University of Agricultural and Horticultural Science, Shivamogga. It's in Bangalore. It was established in 2012. Then you have your University of Agricultural Science, Dharwad, UASD, which was established on 1st October 1986. You have University of Agricultural Science, Raichur, which was established in 2009, again in Karnataka. Then you have your University of Horticultural Science, Bagalkote, which was established in 22nd of November 2008. Then you have Karnataka Veterinary Animal and Fishery Science University, which is in Bidar, and it was established in 2005 on the 28th of February. In Shivamoga, you also have another University of Agricultural and Horticultural Science, which was established in 21st September 2012. If we go further down south, you have Kerala. In Kerala, you have Kerala Agricultural University, Velinkara, Thrissur. It was established in 1971. You have Kerala University of Fisheries and Ocean Studies, KUFOS, which is in Kochi. It was established in 2010. And you have Kerala Veterinary and Animal Science University, KVASU, which it's in Wayan. It was established on 12th of June 2010. And if you go to Madhya Pradesh, you have your Jawaharlal Nehru Agricultural University in Jabalpur. It's a very old university. It was established in 1964. Then you have Rajmata Vijayaraje Sindhya Krishi Vishwavidyalaya, which is in Gwalior, and it was established in 2009. And we come down to Maharashtra. Maharashtra, you have your Central Institute of Fishery Education, CIFE, which is in Mumbai. It is a deemed university. It was established in 1989. You have your Dr. Bala Saheb Sawant Konkan Krishi Vidyapeeth, Dapoli. It was established on 18th of May 1972. Dr. Punjab Rao Deshmukh Krishi Vidyapeeth, PDKV, is in Akola, which is in Maharashtra again, and it was established on the 20th of October 1969. Then you also have Maharashtra Animal and Fishery Science University, MAFSU, which is in Nagpur. This university was established on the 17th of November 2000. It's very recent, just university. Then you have your Mahatma Phule Krishi Vidyapeeth, Rahuri. It was established on the 29th of March 1968. And you have National Backward Krishi Vidyapeeth, Solapur, which is established in 2014. Then you have Vasantrao Naik Marathwada Krishi Vidyapeeth, which is in Parbhani. And this university was established in 1972. Then we go towards Manipur, where you have the Central Agricultural University, Iroi Simba, which is in Imphal. And it was established in 26th of January 1993. In Nagaland, you have a central university called as Nagaland Central University, which was established in 1994. In New Delhi, you have IERI Institute. It was established in 1st April 1905. This is also the head office. We have Orissa University of Agricultural and Technology, which is in Bhubaneswar, and it was established in 1962. We also have Deshbhagat University of Agricultural Science, Almo, which is Fatehgarh Sahib district, which is in Punjab. Then you have Guru Angad Dev Veterinary and Animal Science University, GADV ASU, which is in Ludhiana, and 9th of August 2005 it was established. Then you have your Guru Angad Dev Veterinary and Animal Science University, GADVASU, Ludhiana, which was established on 9th August 2005. You also have Punjab Agricultural University, which is in Ludhiana, and it was established in 1962. In Rajasthan, you have Agriculture University Jodhpur, Agriculture University Kota. You have your Sri Krishna Narendra Agriculture University Chowbner. These three were established in 2013, September 2013. And you have your MPUT, Maharana Pratap University of Agriculture and Technology, Udaipur. It was established on 1st of November 1999. Then you have Swami Keshwanand Rayasan Agricultural University in Bikaner, which was established in 1st of August 1987. Have your Suresh Gyan Vihar University, Jaipur. It was established in 2008. Then you have Rajasthan University of Veterinary and Animal Science. It was established in 13th of May 2010. This one is in Bikaner. Tamil Nadu, you have Annamalai University. It's in Chidambaram, 1929. And in Tamil Nadu, you have Annamalai University in Chidambaram. It was established in 1929. Again, very old university. Then you have Tamil Nadu Agricultural University, Coimbatore, 1971. You have Tamil Nadu Fishery University, Nagapattinam. It was established in 2012. Then you have Tamil Nadu Veterinary and Animal Science University, Medavaram, Chennai. It was established in 1989. In Telangana, you have a professor. You have a Professor Jaishankar Telangana State Agriculture University of Hyderabad. It was established in 2014. In Hyderabad, then you have Sri Konda Lakshman Telangana State Horticultural University in Hyderabad. It was established on 23rd of December 2014. I think Telangana universities are one of the recent most universities here. Then in Uttar Pradesh, you have AMU, which is in Aligarh. It was established in 1920. Then you have BHU in Varanasi, which is 1916. Then you have Banda University of Agriculture and Technology, which is in Banda. This was established in 2010. Then you have Chandrasekhar Azad University of Agriculture and Technology, Kanpur. You have Chaudhry Charan Singh University, Meerut, which was established in 1965. Then you have IVRI, which is the Indian Veterinary Research Institute, and this is in Bareilly, and it was established in 1889. You have Integral Institute of Agricultural Science and Technology, IIAST. It's Integral University in Lucknow. It was established in 9th of May 2014. Then you have Narendra Dev University of Agriculture and Technology, which is in Faizabad. It was established on the 10th of October 1975. Then you have your Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel University of Agriculture and Technology, established in 2010, and it is in Meerut. We have Shiot's Sam Higginbotham University of Agriculture, Technology and Sciences, Allahabad. It is now presently Prayagraj. It was established in 1910. And you have Rani Lakshmibai Central Agriculture University, which is near Punj Dam, Pahuj Dam, which is near IGFR Gwalior Road, it's in Jhansi. So this was established in 2014. Then you have universities in Uttarakhand, which is GB Pant University of Agriculture and Technology, Pantnagar. So 17 November 1960 it was established then. And you have Hemawati Nandan Bhogunal Garhwal University in Srinagar. It was established in 1973. It is in Garhwal, Uttarakhand. Then you have Uttarakhand University of Horticulture and Forestry, Bharsar, which is in Pauri, Garhwal, and it was established in 2011. Then you have West Bengal. In West Bengal, you have Vidhan Chandra Krishi Vishwavidyalaya, Mohanpur, which was established in 1974. Then you have your Uttar Banga Krishi Vishwavidyalaya, Cooch Behar, which was established on the 1st of February 2001. Vishwabharati University is Santiniketan, which was established in 1921. West Bengal University of Animal and Fishery Science, Kolkata, was established in 1995. So these are the universities in the country. So, then we have the consultative groups of international agriculture researchers. We'll see the mandates of these consultative groups. Their mandate is to achieve sustainable food security and to reduce poverty in developing countries through scientific research and research related activities. And these activities they are going to take place in the fields of agriculture, forestry, fisheries, policies, and environment. So there is a question which generally everybody asks, and which not everybody asks, but we should ask that question, and we should ask that question on a very regular basis. That why agricultural research matters. What is the importance of agricultural research? And this is a question which, if we are not going to answer, then we will not be able to improve on the present condition. And then you study the law of diminishing. It says that the factor which is the least diminished one, which is the least one, if it is taken away, there's nothing that can happen in the future, right? So, or something like that. Mm, So we see that there is a rise in food price. There you can see that there is a major concern over the global climate change. You know, there is energy crisis all over the world. Petrol prices are going up, right? The coal is not being used on a very regular basis. And the new interest is in the potential of biofuels. It's because of the depletion of these natural resources. So you see, all of this has ushered in a new era of challenges and opportunities for agriculture and natural resource management. These global trends, while affecting people everywhere, have particularly high risks and consequences for the approximately 2.1 billion people who live on less than $2 a day, जिनको ग्लोबल लेवल पे $2 a डे के नीचे जो जीते हैं, उनके लिए ये सारे फैक्टर्स जो हैं ये बहुत ज़्यादा डेंजरस है. About three-fourths of these people live in rural areas and depend directly or indirectly on agriculture for their livelihoods. 2 बिलियन के अंदर से वन थर्ड जो है, थ्री फोर्थ जो है, वो आपके रूरल एरियाज के अंदर है. एंड वो डायरेक्टली और इनडायरेक्टली किसी ना किसी तरीके से एग्रीकल्चर के ऊपर ही डिपेंडेंट है अपनी लाइवलीहुड को लेके. Further, high food and energy prices will force poor consumers to make trade-offs in their spending, drastically reducing their possibility for improved well-being. Right? If the prices are going to increase, then people will have to give up on so many things in their life, right? Then you have climate change. Climate change, by worsening growing conditions of crops, will further strain the capacity of the agricultural land and threaten the productivity growth vital for reducing poverty. If the conditions of the environment is going to worsen, then the land capacity, the ability of the land to produce good quality food is going to reduce. Environmental and food crops are directly based on the health of the soil. The health of the soil is directly based on the rains and the environmental condition. And if there is a change in one, there is going to be change in all. So if right now climate change is not taken care of, it is going to definitely threaten the productivity of the uh, vital or important food crops, and it is not going to help in reducing of poverty. In fact, if the climate change happens in a major way, then this reduction in poverty is not going to happen. There's going to be increase in poverty. You can say that the rise in temperature and this changing rainfall pattern, this could cause a, drop in the production as much as 50%. If we talk about the African countries, as much as 50% reduction can happen. And if you talk about Central and South Asian countries, around about 30% reduction in agriculture production can happen. Then we have uh, strengthened investment in agricultural science at national and international levels is essential to meet these new and multifaceted challenges. Obviously, if we are not going to have national and international investments, then they're going to make it very difficult to face these challenges. Moreover, there is a need to scale up such research to foster innovations for increased agriculture productivity And then it's understood if there is not going to be investment at both the national and international level, these challenges cannot be faced because in today's world, money is everything, and you require money to face these challenges. And then there is also a need to scale up such researches because if you are not going to do research, then you will not be having more innovations, and you really require more innovations because you have increased demand for agriculture products, right? So you have to consider all these aspects. Another thing that you have to consider is the conserving the natural resources. For example, you have your water and forest and fisheries. If you can't afford to use or consume all of them together. So, according to the World Development Report of 2008, investment in agriculture research has paid off handsomely, delivering an average rate of return of 43% in 700 development projects evaluating in developing countries. Clearly, strong programs of relevant and effective research must be at the top of the international development agenda. If the Millennium Development Goal of halving the hunger and poverty by 2015 are to be met, and if these gains are to be expanded in the decade to come. But since this is 2015's data, nothing has happened. The World Development Report is still not working on. But yes, we can say that poverty has stood to the same level as it was a long time back. There is no increment in poverty or decrement in poverty as of now. So let's talk about the evolving strategic partnership. The Consultative Group of International Agriculture Research, which is the CGIAR, it was established in 1971, and it is a strategic partnership. It has 64 members and 15 international centers. They are working in collaboration with hundreds of governments and civil societies, as well as private businesses around the world. So this CGIAR member includes 21 developing and 26 industrialized countries, 4 co-sponsors, as well as 13 other international organizations. And today, more than 800 CGIAR scientists and staff are active in over 100 countries throughout the world. So the CGIAR generates, this is the place which generates the cutting edge science in order to help in sustainable agriculture research. Okay, so yeah. So what they are doing is they are fostering sustainable agriculture growth that benefits the poor, and they do so through stronger food security, better human nutrition and health, higher income, and improved management of natural resources. The new crop varieties, knowledge, and other products resulting from CGIAR collaborative research are made widely available to individuals and organizations working for sustainable agricultural development throughout the world. So, whatever research is being carried out by CGIAR in these consorted countries and all these groups in private and public funded organizations, whatever research is done, it is done for the improvement of human health and food security and other researches. And whatever is research there is provided to individuals and organizations who are working on sustainable agriculture. So there are some charges because, as I said, nothing is free. So because of these charges, certain issues are there. So what are the priorities of CGIAR research? What are the key things that the CGIAR research is looking forward for? Well, the idea is to reduce hunger and malnutrition, and they're going to try and do so by producing more and better food through genetic improvement. That is one of the priorities, which is to reduce the hunger and malnutrition. And it is extremely important that hunger and malnutrition is reduced because millions of people are hungry and more people go malnourished every day because of lack of nutrition, proper nutrition. And you have your sustaining agriculture, biodiversity, both in situ and ex situ. Then you have promoting opportunities for economic development and through agriculture diversification and high value commodities and products, ensuring sustainable management and conservation of water, land, and forest, improving policies and facilitating institutional innovations. So, the critical task for 11 of CGIAR centers is to maintain international gene banks, and these gene banks preserve and make readily available the plant genetic resource that form the basis of food security worldwide. Okay. In addition, the CGIAR implements several innovative challenge programs designed to confront global or regional issues of vital importance, implemented through broad-based research, partnerships. Challenge program mobilize knowledge, technology, and resources to solve those and other problems such as micronutrient deficiencies, which affects more than 3 billion people, water scarcity, which already affects a third of the world's population, and climate change, which poses a dire threat to rural livelihood across the developing world. The CGIAR is constantly striving for excellence. During 2008, a change management initiative is in progress, designed to ensure that in this rapidly changing external environment described earlier, the CGIAR is positioned to deliver new technologies and new knowledge which will deliver the best possible result. The initiative will culminate in a forward-looking strategy for the CGIAR. They are basically trying to get and deliver new technologies to the world. The CGIAR is open to all countries and organizations that share a commitment to achieving sustainable agricultural development and are willing to invest financial, human, and technical resources towards this end. Membership has expanded the diversified over the years, and the CGIAR is poised for further growth. CGIAR expenditure amounts to US dollar 506 million in 2007, the single largest investment made to mobilize science for the benefit of rural poor worldwide. Without public investment in international agriculture research through the CGIAR, the world production would be 4 to 5% lower. Developing countries would produce 7 to 8% less food. World food and feed grain prices would be 18 to 21% higher, and 13 to 15 million more children would be malnourished. So you see that these international agriculture researches through the CGIAR has allowed to keep all these problems at bay. For every $1 invested in CGIAR research, $9 worth of additional food is produced in developing countries, and where this is where it is needed the most. The evidence is clear: agricultural growth alleviates poverty and hunger. And you have benefits for the poor and the planet. You have international agricultural research has a strong record for delivering results that help confront the central development and environmental challenges of our time. Science developed by CGIAR supported centers and their partners has delivered significant gains in terms of reducing hunger and improved incomes of small farmers throughout much of the developing world. And it is true. I mean, the reduction has actually gone down, and there have been jobs, and the farmers have actually seen a little increase in their incomes. And this is all with the help of, I'm not saying it is all because of CGIAR, but CGIAR has played a good part in doing this. The research is much broader than agricultural productivity alone, encompassing a range of initiatives related to water, biodiversity, forest, fisheries, and land. So the area of research is very, very broad. It has advanced sustainable management and conservation practices in these sectors. Therefore, it protects millions of hectares of forest and grassland, and it safeguards a huge amount of biodiversity, and also it helps in prevention of land degradation. Among the outcomes of the researches includes successful biological control of the cassava mealybug and green mite. These both were devastating pests of the root crop, and this crop is very important for the food security in sub-Saharan Africa. The economic benefit of this work alone, estimated at more than 4 billion, is sufficient to cover almost the entire cost of CGIAR research conducted so far for Africa. It's a pretty big this thing. Then you have new rices for Africa, or NERICA, which combines the high yield of Asian rice with African rice resistant to local pests and diseases. Currently, it is sown in 200,000 hectares in upland areas, and NERICAs, these NERICAs, are helping reduce national right import bills and generating higher income in rural communities. So these rice are also being grown in a very large area with the help of CGIARs. Then more than 50 varieties of recently developed drought-tolerant maize varieties are being grown in a total of about 1 million hectare across eastern and southern Africa. So the land area is very large, 1 million hectares, and there are more than 50 varieties which are drought-tolerant. Then you have a flood-tolerant version of rice is also there. It is grown in around 6 million hectare in Bangladesh, since that's the place where you have a huge amount of floods. The new variety enables farmers to obtain yield 2 to 3 times those of non-tolerant version under prolonged submersion of rice crop. A situation which we might see in coming years, as the climate change might force excessive rainfall or excessive drought in certain areas and excessive rainfall in certain areas. So this rice variety might be of some help. Then you have widespread adoption of resource conserving zero-till technology in the vital rice wheat system of South Asia, employed by close to 500,000 farmers on more than 3.2 million hectares. This technology has generated benefits estimated around $147 million through higher crop yield, lower production costs, and saving in water and energy. An agroforestry system called as fertilizer tree fallows, which renews soil fertility in southern Africa using on-farm resources. So more than 66,000 farmers have adopted this technology in Zambia, where it has strengthened food security and reduced environmental damage. And this information and this technology is spreading to the 4 neighboring countries also. So informations and tools used by conservation to monitor some 37 million hectare of forest, resulting in better management of this diminishing resource and contributing to more sustainable livelihood for forest dwellers. A new method for detecting aflatoxin, a deadly poison that infects crops, making them unfit for local consumption or export. This technology, together with novel biological control method, has proved to be able to reduce aflatoxin by nearly 100%. It is also helping to curb this major threat to human health, especially in children, and to save millions of dollars in lost sales of food or export. A simple methodology for integrating agriculture with aquaculture to bolster income and food supplies in area of southern Africa, where the agricultural labor force has been devastated by AIDS. Under large-scale testing in Malawi, the methods double the income of nearly 1,200 households and dramatically increase fish consumption. A new approach to predicating the likely impact of climate change on major crops, wild relatives, which are a key source of genes needed to enhance climate resilience, as well as valuable finding in the likely consequences of biofuel developed in China and India for increasingly scarce water supply. Then you have increasing smallholder dairy production in Kenya, improving childhood nutrition while generating jobs. This award-winning project with smallholders dairy has contributed up to 80% of the milk products sold in the country and strengthened local capacity to market milk products. With this, we come to our quiz section. So with this, we come to the quiz section, and there are not there are many questions which can be asked through this topic. Um, we can always ask what are aflatoxins and how much percentage of aflatoxin has been reduced with the help of these technology. What could have been next question is world production if there was no investment of this public interest. If there was no investment, public investment, then the world food production would have how much percentage lower? Is 4 to 5% lower. Then in you have technical objective questions, which is the university in Bhagalpur in Bihar. So the answer is your Bihar Agriculture University. And where is Indira Gandhi Agricultural University situated? It is in Raipur. Where is Navsari Agriculture University situated? It is in Gujarat. And uh, where is the Cashew Research Directorate? It is in Puttur. Then where is the Soybean Research Directorate? It is in Indore. So you have your questions on National Burex. Where is the National Burex of Plant Genetic Resources? It is in New Delhi. So with this, we come to the end of our this topic. Thank you.